So today we like sailing things, but I won't speak about sailing, windsurfing, and so on. I will speak about numbers. That's a big one, huh? 67 billion. It may be like a lot of these nice Italian cars, around 300 of these nice cars. It could be around 1.5 times the value market of this quite known Swiss company. But as mentioned as an introduction, it's just the amount of internal fraud for 1 year for banks. It's a huge amount. And a lot of these frauds are related to insiders. 70% is related to insider. So imagine a world where you are able to detect it before it's too late, before the money is gone through your Swift gateway. So that's exactly the problem NetGuardians is solving. And we are, I would say, the Nespresso approach of anti-fraud. So I will just elaborate a little bit on that. Our Nespresso, our coffee machine here down there, is a big data platform that gather audit trails, user activity, analyze human behavior across the bank. And on top of that, our coffee cups are not anymore Cozy, Voluto, and so on. They are internal fraud, cyber risk account takeover, identity theft, and you plug them on top of it, and they are done by our team of IT risk experts who are developing every day new patterns and rules, and also predictive analytics on top of that. So what is different in that approach? Basically, we looked at three main dimensions to understand human behavior and to detect people that are doing strange things under the radar. We look at user behavior. We look at user meaning employee, even customers. Then we look at IT people, looking what are all these people on this black screen doing every day, every night on the back office systems. And then we add transaction into the loop, and we look at human behavior around all that. And as we are a fintech company focusing on banking industry only, we've got very well predefined connector to enable quick installation, quick data capture in any banks. For instance, even Temenos is now proposing our solution as a module inside their product line. So at the end, our fraudster is our software. I'm mixing fraudster and software, you can see. Our software is reading the mind of fraudster. We are applying different type of analytics. Pattern-based, which is more rule-based, done by our IT risk team. We've got 3 people, one in Nairobi, one in Switzerland, and one in Asia, developing that every day. We bridge that with more predictive and I would say more dynamic profiling, looking at trends, learning from the past, and having alerts based on heuristic. And then we package that with predictive analytics to look at future trends and strange things that may happen within a bank. So let's just take an example of e-banking, for instance. So on this video, you can see the dashboard where you log on our software. You can see red flags, strange things happening. Here, Peter is a little bit bigger than the other, so maybe he did something strange. So then if you, for instance, focus on our heat map, you see Peter is violating some strange or doing some strange thing, violating rules. But here, as we are looking in the 5 minutes, you can see that on the e-banking side now, you are getting some strange things with your customers. So we would like now to focus on the customer, on e-banking, and just see what is currently happening right now on your e-banking platform. So within the graphical interface, you can just drill down, click on the e-banking control. So that's the Nespresso caps looking at e-banking behavior. We are looking at strange activities around the e-banking. And by just clicking on it, you get to the dashboard, you see the violation. So the strange thing that just happened in the past 5 minutes with your customer. So on the right-hand side, you see the type of violation. that are related to these strange activities. So you've got a list of violation, a list of customer that had some strange behavior that was detected through dynamic profiling. And now if you click on one customer, it's very obvious if you look at the map that this guy is coming from South Africa, but he suddenly started to do things from Nigeria. Weird. So that's the small spot around it. So now with our software, you can then drill down to do some forensic analytics. And with the forensic, you understand what is going on, really. So here, you can see the activity on the e-banking side for that user. And if you look at this graph, you can easily see that this IP address from Nigeria did some usual activities on the e-banking portal, like looking at the assets, looking at the profile. But below there, you can see these two small things, fund transfer and Forex. So you can easily, from the alert, from the ongoing control that are running like Swiss clockwork on our big data platform, you can really understand what is going on, investigate, and block things before it really happens. A few words about the company. We've got a bit more than 30 customers on 13 countries right now. We are very active in emerging markets. We've got an office with 6 people right now in Nairobi, Kenya, 3 people in Singapore, R&D nearshoring in Poland. We are very happy. We just signed our first central bank last week, and we are expanding a lot in these different regions. On emerging market, a lot on anti-fraud. On more mature and regulated market, a lot more around regulation. We've got, for instance, in Luxembourg, a Raiffeisen bank who's using our software on more the regulation control needs. Very proud of the team. We were just 12 people 18 months ago down the line. We are almost 40 right now, with a sales team in different regions, support in Nairobi, serving customers. Right now we are implementing in Malawi for some customers. We've got project running on in Asia. Board member coming from the financial industry, many of them from the software industry, like Olivier Trancard, who was the head of sales for Oracle Core Banking called iFlex, an Indian company. So that's it. I just have 15 seconds left, but as a Swiss guy, I like to be on time. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. Now, considering the solution you showed us, how much time does it take for a new customer to be onboarded? Is it fast due to the experience you gathered with the previous ones, or is it a longer period?
It's quite fast. I would say between 30 and 80 days of work, of implementation. It really depends the scope, but you know a lot of big banks are having such initiative, and data capture sounds like very common when you hear about big data and so on, but at the end it's a nightmare everywhere, and data quality is very key for such scenarios of analytics. So we are happy to have some predefined connectors, so you earn a lot of time in data capture. I would say we've got around 20 banks that are using Temenos core banking, 1 or 2 around Avaloq, 1 or 2 around FlexCube from Oracle. So due to that, implementation is very quick compared maybe to some other solutions.
Are you seeing, since you are tracking, patterns from many sources, are you seeing an exponential growth of your intelligence and your system as you add more clients, or you kind of plateau?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we are very pragmatic, indeed, and we started with a few. Our first customer on Temenos core banking, for instance, was in Saudi Arabia. We learned a lot there. It was 3 years ago, and we started then building this type of library with more and more patterns. Now we work also with a Big 4 company now to be a bit more proactive. we want to launch our update services, a bit like antivirus, to get new and also upsell opportunities and new rules for, and not only rules, also profiling algorithm around that. So that's really, yeah, it's really growing, and we learn a lot from customer to customer at the beginning. Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Sorry, just one last question, the same as the other one. How can you make profiling and behaviors and respect privacy laws? Sorry for being European.
It's a good one. For now, we have no customer in France. I know it will need a lawyer when starting to be to investigate more that market. But usually, banks we are working with are having disclaimer on their employee contract. So that's the way we solve this approach. We are not using that for HR. We are not using that for key performance indicator for HR and so on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.